Today we shall discuss about reconstruction of crime scene in firearm cases, general principles. What does reconstruction mean? Reconstruction of crime scene means verification of facts relating to whether it is a case of suicide, murder or homicide, and the sequence of events which has taken place. The first principle is that no theory should be proposed or accepted unless there is sufficient generation of data, and that data must not contradict any medical evidence or circumstantial evidence. The medical evidence can be wrong, and so can be circumstantial evidence can be wrong. The clothes of the victim play a very important role. In one case, it so happened that the prosecution theory was that 2 bullets have been fired, one from the back side of the victim and the other from the right side of the victim, which passed from the body and went to the left side of the victim. So there were 3 wounds, firearm injuries on the body of the person, and the prosecution hinted, rather stressed, that there are 2 persons involved in the murder. When the photograph was brought by the expert who went for the reconstruction of the scene, he could find that the revolver which was found in the possession of the person had a live cartridge in it instead of having a shell, and that contradicted all the theory that there were 2 persons involved, and the exit wound had been created by 1 bullet only, and it was a case not of suicide but of murder. The clothes do play a very important role, and so is the circumstantial evidence. If a man has got a revolver in his hand and a photograph has been taken, the photograph might prove circumstantial evidence that he had tried to fire, but the fact that the person held it does not mean anything, especially when GSR are not present on the hand. And if they are present on both outside and inside of the hand, that is the palmar side and the opposite side, then only it is significant that it has been fired. In this particular case, it was observed that a live cartridge was found at 12 o'clock position, indicating that the firearm has not been fired at all. Sometimes it involves a case where accidental death has taken place, but people suspect it and give it another shape. To find out whether it is a case of accidental firing or otherwise, we must generate some data, and that data can be that the pull of the trigger was much less than the normal pull, which resulted in the loose working of the system. There can be another reason. The entire system may be loose. It may not be that fixed or in right position, but in an abnormal position of being very loose, and the loose parts may not really function, and it may result in malfunctioning or in accidental firing, killing the person as an accident rather than as a homicide.
After studying this module, you shall be able to know about the importance of crime scene reconstruction in firearm related crimes, about the identification of used weapon, site of entrance, range of firing, and deposition of GSR, multiple shot suicides, about the procedure of photography of the scene of crime, SOC. Deaths caused by firearms can be classified into three types, which are suicide, homicide, accidental, or undetermined. There are no single characteristic appearances, position, or type of gunshot wound that defines the exact manner of death, as crime scene may be manipulated either deliberately or accidentally, which may mislead the investigation officer, IOs. The investigation in a firearm case involves determination of manner of death, analysis of multiple evidences involved in the scene of crime, examination of body of the deceased or the victim, ballistics evidence, trace metal detection on the hands, that is, analysis of GSR particles. It is not necessary that death involving suicide must have one entry wound. Thus, presence of multiple wounds may not exclude the possibility of suicide. Some forensic scientists carried out experiments of more than 1700 cases of suicidal firearm deaths and determined the following characteristics of those injuries. Type of weapon used: revolver in about 50% cases, automatic pistols in 19.5% cases, rifles in 30% cases, other firearms in 0.7% cases. Site of entrance: head in 83.7% cases, chest in 14% cases, abdomen in 1.9% cases, combination of sites in 0.4% cases. Range of firing: contact wound was found in 97.9% cases, near contact wound 2% cases, combination of these or an unknown range in the remainder. Deposition of GSR: deposition of GSR only on palms of the hands, being indicative of them being held up in self-preservation, while in those cases where location is on the back of either one or both hands, it is indicative that the person fired the weapon. In addition to the above, in every case of suicide using revolver, there will always be a very positive result on the thumb of the deceased. Multiple shot suicides. Multiple shot suicides engender controversy due to the misconception that it is impossible. Tied in with this mistaken belief of instant incapacity are most fallacies such as The impact of a bullet would send the victim reeling backwards, or the gun would fly out of victim's hand, and so on. There are three major groups of incapacitation. Instant incapacitation. This can only result from the cessation in the functioning of the CNS, central nervous system, via direct disruption of brainstem tissues. Rapid incapacitation. This can be achieved via massive bleeding from the heart, the thoracic aorta, the pulmonary artery, or other major vein or artery. This could take 5 minutes or more. Delayed incapacitation. This can result from damage to other major organ, which are the lungs, kidney, or liver. With such damage to internal organs, total incapacitation can take a considerable period of time. While multiple shot injuries, suicides are uncommon, they are by no means rare. In a case, an Australian shot himself in the back 7 times with a .22% inches caliber rifle, and it has been conclusively proved to be a case of suicide. In another case of a police officer shot himself 5 times in the chest with a .38 inches Smith and Wesson revolver. It was proved beyond any doubt that it had been a case of suicide. There are several cases of suicides which were solved by various parameters. The contact shots from handguns true cause severe injuries, yet they do not burst open the head, skull, a contrast to rifle shotgun injuries. However, large caliber and heavy powder charge in rare cases may stimulate blast type shotgun injuries. Self-defense, murders, suicides, and fake injuries. In a case, a person used a firearm for contact firing at the lower portion of his leg below his knee joint and informed police that his enemy fired at him when he was lying down to sleep, but luckily he survived. Examination of scene of crime and its construction revealed the following facts, which proves that the allegation could not be correct and is a faked one. The entry wound was situated at such a place where hand of the complainant and firearm could reach easily. The entry wound was at a higher level from the ground. The exit wound was situated at such a place that the enemy could not reach easily. GSR were found on the higher level wound, entry wound on a place where right hand of the complainant could reach very conveniently. The enemy, if he fired, would have done it in a vital part of the body and from a distance which would have not resulted in GSR, like burning of skin mark of barrel, pink coloration of skin, and others, but they were detected at entry wound. The exit wound and entry wound could be identified by GSR particles. The possibility of firing and track suggested that it was work of the complainant and not the accused. GSR particles were detected on the hands of complainant and were completely absent on the hands of the accused. Garments of the complainant showed presence of GSR, whereas the clothing of the accused did not indicate any GSR. In another case involving trial of a murder, the murderer created circular injuries on his thigh, but no pellets were found in them. He alleged that the pellets could have bounced out of injury holes, 2 cm deep with 3 mm diameter, after striking the underneath bone. The defense story of self-defense was disbelieved and rejected, as it was impossible to bounce all pellets from one circular hole, resulting in conviction for murder. Suicide had been alleged in another case involving the use of a revolver. The theory of suicide got rejected by an expert on the following facts while reconstructing the crime scene during its examination. The projectile, after coming out of the body, was resting near the muzzle of the firearm, whereas dent made by the bullet was found at a different site. The revolver grasped in cadaveric spasm had a live cartridge, contrary to the fired one. The examination reconstruction indicated that society theory is definitely wrong, as it constructed material scientific facts and is in fact a case of murder. Importance of reconstruction of occurrence. Reconstruction of crime scene in firing cases is increasing day by day. This is due to the fact that courts are accepting linkage of the fired ammunition in respect of firearm used as beyond doubt and definite evidence when the opinion is expressed by a ballistics expert. This leaves no scope for discussion by the defense, hence he tries to belittle opinion of the expert on the other grounds. Hence, defense claims it shooting was carried out in self-defense. The other grounds could be showing shooting to be an accidental one or a suicide rather than a homicide. This is resulting in shifting defense counsel's cross examination from identification problems to such possibilities with certain hypotheses which need to be verified. Reconstruction of an occurrence helps to achieve the following objects. It establishes the nature of corpus delicti, the veracity of a given version to ascertain whether hypothesis of prosecution is correct or not. In a case, there were several holes on the body of the victim. The ballistic expert explained that there was only one entrance hole indicating involvement of one man and one shot. Reconstruction of occurrence must be in accordance with the fact observed, keeping in mind location of exhibits like firearm, fired shells, photographs of the crime scene, and nature of injuries and extent of damage. Reconstruction of an occurrence involving use of firearms requires the evaluation of total evidence by a well-experienced ballistic expert, and same must be in agreement with undisputed evidence from all sources including medical and circumstantial evidence. The expert must have careful evaluation of the following before he can construct the occurrence. Scene of occurrence, photographs of the crime scenes, and video film of the scene if possible. Post-mortem or medico-legal reports of the victim and suspect. Clothes of the victim. Arms and ammunition used in the incident. Photography of the scene. Almost all the scenes of shooting are photographed. For the reconstruction work, all available photographs must be examined irrespective of the facts mentioned below, whether the quality of photograph is good or bad, whether they were considered necessary or not necessary by the IO or anyone else, whether to be produced in the court or not. In a case alleged to be that of suicide, the body of the victim was found on the bed. The revolver was found held in her right hand. The bullet was lying close to the muzzle of the firearm. During reconstruction, the position of bullet after passing through the head and being near to the muzzle end appeared very odd and highly unexpected. A visit to the scene of crime by the expert revealed many odd facts, like the revolver used in the case had a live cartridge instead of a fired one. There was washing of bloodstains at certain places. The material contradictions between the photograph and the exhibits suicide theory was an impossibility, hence murder angle investigated. Clothes of the victim. Clothes of the victim provides important information in the reconstruction of cases involving shooting, as they are indicative of the number of shots fired at the victim, the range of firing, the height of injuries, and direction of fire also in many cases. In a case, the defense counsel was of the opinion that wounds were caused from a shot fired from a long range since wound was skin deep only. The shirt of the victim deceased was examined, which gave positive test for nitrate particle around the entrance holes. The argument of the counsel was obviously incorrect, and the expert explained that it had been an angular shot of a shotgun where only a part of the charge had grazed the skin. Reconstruction of the occurrence is not always against the defense. The prosecution may also make a wrong judgment. In a prosecution story, the victim was hit by two shots fired by two persons, one from the back and other from the right side, since number of injuries on the body of deceased were three, one on the left side, the other on the right side, and a third on the back. The examination of the clothes revealed that injury on the back was certainly an entrance wound. There was no other hole on the shirt. The only possibility could be that all three injuries had been caused by one and the same shot. Entrance from the backside and two exit wounds on the two sides due to direction of the buckshot charge. Thus, the reconstruction revealed that a second shot was fired from the right side could not be upheld. Post-mortem report. A post-mortem report or medico-legal report is one of the most important items in the reconstruction of crime. It indicates number of shots, range of the shot, direction of fire, nature of firearm involved, type of ammunition used. A properly prepared report, along with an X-ray radiograph and dimensions of injuries, including classification of entrance and exit wound, can prove very valuable. Arms and ammunition. In an illegally seized case, the police recovered a .32 revolver from the scene of occurrence. The bullet recovered from victim's body was that of .38 caliber. This could not have been fired from the recovered firearm. In another case, a felt cushion wad was recovered from the body of the victim, whereas cartridge case illegally recovered from the scene of occurrence was different, as it had paper cushion wads. Interesting cases of reconstruction. Arms and ammunition. The examination of arms and ammunition is essential in all the important constructional work. It provides the necessary linkage of the incriminating fire, ammunition, and the firearm. It provides a check whether the thesis advocated by the prosecution or the defense are possible or not. In any accidental killings where the accident is alleged due to the defect in the firearm, the examination of the firearm becomes indispensable. In a shooting case, the culprit alleged that in a quarrel he was attacked by the victim with a sword. He aimed the gun at the victim to frighten him. The victim, instead of running away, gave a sword blow to the barrel. The gun went off and killed the victim. The gun and the sword were examined. The gun carried a cut mark on its barrel. Consequently, the defense version looked sound. The mechanism of the gun was checked. No defect could be discovered. However, as a matter of routine, the defense version was enacted without loading the gun. The gun was cocked and held in a firing position by one person. It was given a hard blow with the sword by a second person. The hammer did not fall. The gun did not go off. The process was repeated about half a score times. Not only the gun did not fire, but another interesting observation was also made. The edge of the sword coming in contact with the gun folded, Further, it did not produce a cut mark on the barrel. The folding of the edge and non-production of a cut mark completely falsified the defense version. The impossibility of the defense version was intimated to the investigating agency. Further interrogations brought out the truth. The cut mark had been produced by the accused with a kukri. When the same was examined and tried on the barrel, a cut similar to the original could be produced. In another shooting case, the victim and the culprit were brothers-in-law. One of them had a semi-automatic pistols. They had gone to take bath in a stream. According to the defense version, while the owner was still in the water, the victim came out and started fiddling with the pistols. On seeing this, the owner got worried. He came out running and started snatching the pistol. It went off and killed his brother-in-law. The police did not place any credence on the story to start with. They apprehended him for murder. The accused continued pestering the authorities for the wrong which was being committed against him. At last, the expert evidence was called in. When the firearm was checked, it showed a peculiar characteristic defect. The safety lever of the pistol was in the grip. The person firing the pistol had to press the lever with his palm before pressing the trigger. If the trigger was pressed without pressing the lever, it would not fire. Later, if the lever was pressed, it would fire whether the trigger was pressed again or not. There are no single characteristic appearances, position, or type of gunshot wound that defines the exact manner of death, as crime scene may be manipulated to mislead IOs. Deposition of GSR only on palms of the hands being indicative of them being held up in self-preservation, while in those cases where location is on the back of either one or both hands, it is indicative that the person fired the weapon. Instant incapacitation can result from the cessation in the functioning of the CNS, central nervous system, via direct disruption of brainstem tissues. Reconstruction of an occurrence involving use of firearm requires the evaluation of total evidence by a well-experienced ballistic expert, and same must be in agreement with undisputed evidence from all sources, including medical and circumstantial evidence. Clothes of the victim provide important information in the reconstruction of cases involving shooting, as they are indicative of the number of shots fired at the victim, the range of firing, the height of injuries, and direction of fire also in many cases.